Hello and welcome to Capes on the Couch where comics get counseling. I'm Anthony Sitko.
And I'm Dr. Issues.
This is a special episode. As promised, we are talking our reactions to Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. Unfortunately, this is re-recorded because our initial plan of recording this after we got out of the movie theater got a bit waylaid by technology. Long story short, no idea what happened to the recorder that I brought with me. It was working and it showed that it was recording. I saw the levels on the monitor going up and down while we were speaking. So I was like, cool, we're good to go. Bring it home. And it had literally recorded, I'm not even exaggerating, 17 seconds randomly in the middle of the discussion. Like we talked for about 20 minutes and all it took was about 17 seconds of conversation in the middle. And that was all that was on the SD card.
Who knew that, technology messing up at the most inopportune times could have such dire ramifications that we
Yeah.
would have to do over in an effort to clean things up for the rest of society? Okay, that last part was clearly just shoehorning in the premise.
Yeah. So again, apologies for the delay. This is going to be a little less edited, basically just taking out long pauses and filler language. Otherwise, this is just going to be raw thoughts on the movie.
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to add, the thing that the world misses out on is because it's past her bedtime. For the original, it was past her bedtime too, but my daughter gave some commentary, but she is not available at the moment. But I can recall some of the things she said.
Oh yeah, she had some quality comments during and after the film. A lot of stuff during. A lot of comments during. Doc sat between us and there was a lot of she would whisper something to him and then he would lean over and whisper it to me. And then I would whisper something to him and he would lean over and whisper it to her. And the three of us just kind of went back and forth like a hushed Statler and Waldorf throughout the entire film.
Oh,
And
oh, 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 oh.
and then we got into the car. It was like, that was great. It was wonderful. Yeah, it was pretty good. It wasn't bad. Well, there were parts of it I didn't really care for. It was awful. It was terrible. Boo! Get out of here. Wasn't quite like that, but so we're gonna start off with the non-spoilery discussions. And I'm talking like top level non-spoilery stuff. Like obviously, if you have any awareness of what happens, we're gonna get into like generalities and stuff that has kind of been revealed throughout promotional material, prior to release, and then we'll get into the spoilery stuff. So if you haven't seen the movie yet, you should, but you've seen like trailers, you'll be able to follow along with what we're discussing for at least the beginning part, and then we'll give a very clear like, and now here's where the spoilers kick in. So you've got some time. I enjoyed it, and I distinctly recall saying at the first time that we recorded this, there was a little too much crammed into this film that I felt like had they removed one or two story points or characters, that it could have allowed the rest of the film to breathe and you would have gotten a bit deeper into the characterizations of some of these characters. Because again, this is the third film within just the Ant-Man franchise, never mind his appearance in Civil War and Infinity and Endgame. Well, I should say, more Endgame. But yeah, it's just like we know at this point who Scott is. We know who Hope is. We know at least the protagonists. We understand them. And I just feel like we could have gotten a little bit more depth with them had we shifted some of the storylines.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I also, though, will give kind of the opposite side of that coin as a compliment, saying for the last few movies that I've seen from Marvel, I felt that they were biding their time it wasn't necessarily that those movies were bad. I've enjoyed every Marvel movie, and I enjoyed this one as well. But I for once actually thought to myself, where are we going with this? The good news is this movie takes care of that in a big way. We know where we're going with this. And so I appreciate them doing that. I was just surprised of all the franchises that they did it with. If you think of just overall theme of the first Ant-Man movie and then Ant-Man and Wasp and all this went ironically by going micro scale, it went macro scale. Like, whoa! I'm not sure this was the one that was built for it. So, way to take a chance.
Yeah, they definitely swung for the fences on this one, and I think I had said at one point in one of the episodes, just kind of talking generally speaking, like the first two films were heist films and were very close, tightly related to Scott and the immediate surroundings. This film has massive ramifications. The first two were like, we don't really need to call in the Avengers. This is kind of small stuff, no pun intended, that Scott and Hope can handle on their own. This one is like, oh, we definitely need to call in the Avengers. We need to let them know like immediately on what is happening here because stuff is going to be happening big time. And obviously it's been foreseen with the whole, Avengers Kang Dynasty is the name of the next Avengers movie. So we know that Kang is going to play a major role in this. But again, to introduce him in Ant-Man of all things and to go through the quantum realm, I thought was interesting. And it does make sense within the scope of the time travel and the chrono manipulation that has been established within the MCU's version of the quantum realm. So I'm like, okay, I get where they're going with this. But of all the characters to go toe to toe with Kang, Scott would not have been my first choice. And the thing that I said, you know what, I'll save that for the spoiler discussion because the ending kind of left me with some things. So one thing I will say, and it's not again too much of a spoiler, is this film is technically Ant-Man and the Wasp, but the Wasp part of it is only if you consider Michelle Pfeiffer
Mm,
as like the OG Wasp, because Evangeline Lilly doesn't have a whole lot to do in this film.
yeah,
She's
yeah,
there, she has a bit of an arc, but Michelle Pfeiffer carries a lot of this movie.
yeah, yeah.
And
Uh,
in a good way, yes, there's one or two points that like the film comes to a screeching halt so she can deliver this massive exposition on what happened while she was in the quantum realm, because so much of this film spins out of that. um that she's very much clearly explaining like what happened those 30 years that she was stuck inside the quantum realm. But and I did enjoy it, and I did appreciate that they gave her that much storyline to carry, but again, it does come at the expense of some of the other characters.
yeah, yeah. Seems like you gotta shoehorn in lots and lots of information for people that are just getting on board if they can't see some of the things that are already being subtly stated. And that is a common complaint I have about the movie as a whole. I know Anthony has said this about comics, show don't tell. This movie shows, and it shows. Real, I mean, I'm giving credit. It shows, and then proceeds to tell you what it just showed, and keeps telling, and keeps telling. At some points, I'm like, really? It almost sounded like a postscript of what they were shooting on scene. Like you didn't have to do that. And that was a negative for me because it pulled me out. I was ready for them to keep going and it would just like just eliminate some of that immersion for me. So I'll transition by saying this as a whole because you just mentioned, you know, the role of Janet and all of this, but Jonathan Majors absolutely carries just about anything that he is in.
Oh
I
yeah.
I am so impressed because Marvel is pretty much hitching their wagon to him, and he's really just running and running. I'm truly enjoying it because it seems like he is relishing that point, and I know that that's been his style. If anybody's seen any other movies that he's in, but I think this is one of the first times I've seen him in something where it wasn't just that they said you don't have to worry about whether or not you're going to get your time or get your opportunity to put whatever spin you want. And just the way this is going to develop, you could see he's going to put all the spins.
Oh yes. Yeah, he's very clearly indicated and shown on screen in his portrayal that he is taking the ball and running with it
Okay,
quite clear.
so once again, calling an audible because this was not planned, people. So my daughter must have overheard. So she's actually here. So I can't help it. She'll hurt me if I don't. So just give me a moment here.
Hi.
Hey, so real quick, obviously I know you're getting ready to go to bed, but we're kind of re-recording our thoughts on the Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania because technology betrayed me and everything got deleted accidentally or didn't record. So long story short, we're redoing our recap on this. So I'll just give you the floor for the next minute or so. And if you care to say what you thought, what you liked, what you didn't like, repeat yourself, don't repeat yourself, whatever you want to say, the floor is yours.
Cool. So the movie was decent. I mean, there's some parts, why are it's called Ant-Man and the Wasp for a reason. Focusing on more of the father-daughter dynamic, more of, the Ant-Man of the Wasp part of the movie. And at the end where the Wasp comes in, it was just at this point you should have just made it the daughter because you weren't even focusing on it on the first place, and it was just no, no.
You're not wrong. There was a lot of focus there on Scott and Cassie. We were talking about how Janet does a lot of lifting in this movie. Michelle Pfeiffer had a very big role. Similarly, Catherine Newton as Cassie has been set up now. You know, it's yet another character from the Young Avengers that we've seen established. I feel like she was, I don't want to say shoehorned in, but they were like, oh, hey, we've got Catherine Newton. Let's give Cassie this big part of this movie so we can justify bringing in Catherine Newton and make it clear that she's going to play a role moving forward.
You see the plot point? You see it? You see it? Come on, let me just show you more. Just
Okay.
Yep. That's exactly what your dad was saying, that a lot of it is show and tell, and then tell you what we showed you, and then tell you what we showed you again and again and again. And to go back to the Cassie point again, I do recall the one comment that you had the first time was Disney princess syndrome. That, oh, and even remember saying this in the movie while we were watching it, like, oh, there's nothing in the world that a well-meaning white woman can't solve. Or, she's trying really hard, so we're just gonna let her go with it because she's a white woman and they mean well. And even if they mess things up, well, she tried. So that's what's important, right?
she only endangered half of the universe. Woohoo!
Yeah. Yeah. And then, she has some interactions with another character. We'll get into that more in a little bit when we get into the spoiler stuff. But I was like, really? Really? We're going to completely bring this film to a screeching halt so she can talk to this character about the development that they need to have. And then solely based on her words, this character has a major change in alignment and thought process just because young white girl talked to him and made him feel special?
Disney princess. Woohoo!
Yeah. So I
Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair. No, but I get to be the main character even though I probably don't deserve this role. Yeah.
Yep. So I know you've got to get to bed because it is getting late. Real fast though, we'll jump ahead to your part. What was your rating on a scale of 1 to 10 for this movie?
7 out of 10.
7 out of 10. All right. Solid. Solid. We'll take it.
Why do
So,
I do that with everything, man? I mean, but
well, we appreciate your time. Go enjoy the rest of your evening and have a good night's sleep, and we'll do this again soon, and hopefully my recorder will work this time and we can get the thing to work correctly.
I'm tired.
I was surprised that it took that long for that part. I knew she was going to do that. All right.
Never change. So now that Doc's daughter is off to bed, we can resume with the discussion. The other thing that I liked, and this is not much of a spoiler, is because it's been hinted at in the trailers, is this is a very eclectic film from a character design standpoint and a visual standpoint, that they really take advantage of the fact that the quantum realm is just kind of whatever you want it to be, and there's all kinds of different characters and creatures down there in a good way and in a bad way, because I think they spent so much time saying, yeah, we've got all this cool stuff and let's show all the characters that exist in the quantum realm and all the vast wacky menagerie of things that are down here, that it again took away from the main plot.
Yep. I'm not really going to add more to it than that because you see it. Yeah, it's not that there's really. I have some commentary about this past the spoiler point. I'll just say that.
Okay, that's fair. Um so just trying to think if there's anything else that we discussed, non-spoilery, that whatever that we could fit in. All right, so before we jump into the spoiler stuff, we'll go ahead and give our number readings. Doc, I know your daughter gave it a 7 out of 10. If I remember correctly, that's what I gave it the first
Okay.
go round.
Okay. And I'm willing, because I have had some time to process it now. I originally gave it a 5, and I think I need to just briefly explain. I enjoy all Marvel movies. So I'm not claiming that I dislike this movie. I really enjoyed it. But I'm putting in this now extensive list of material. I'm saying it's middle of the road. So I'm giving it about, I said a 5 before. I'm willing to bump that up to a 6 because there were some things that kind of gelled in my head where I'm like, yeah, I didn't appreciate it in the moment, but I think I appreciate it more now that I'm understanding why they did what they did. So, yeah, that's where I stand.
Okay, and that's fair, and we can certainly appreciate that. So now's the point where we're going to talk spoilers. So if you haven't seen the movie yet and you have any interest in seeing it before listening to this next part, stop the episode, go check it out, or wait till it comes out on Disney Plus in what will probably be like 6 weeks. And then, you can listen to the end part. If you have seen the movie, then here be spoilers. Okay, so MODOK.
That creeped me out. I'm sorry. I think they did it the right way. I couldn't stand it. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
I was like, okay, Darren's not dead. He got turned into MODOK, but what did they do with the effects on his face? It was like stretched across, and I understand from a perspective that they were trying to go Uncanny Valley with it, like that was the goal. But god damn, like you could have just,
Nope.
you could have done it a different way.
Nope. Ugh.
It was like, it looked like something from a weird ass Peter Gabriel video, and I'm just like, was just like, no, man, it
Uh,
didn't work. Speaking of MODOK, again, kind of what I alluded to earlier. He makes a heel face turn just because Cassie tells him to not be a dick.
yeah, that's
That's literally it. He spent an entire movie trying to kill her and Scott and everything. Like, he was an asshole through and through in the first movie. He's an asshole through like 80% of this movie. And then Cassie beats the snot out of him and then is like, don't be a dick. And he's like, okay, I guess I won't be a dick then. I'm
well.
just really sad. And then turns
So
around and does
yeah,
a heel face turn just because, again, a young, attractive white woman with good
so
intentions talked to him.
yeah, I appreciate the idea that the way they did it though was still wow. Even when you're trying to be a hero, you're still a dick. But the point you just made is that there's no premise for why that should happen at all, ever. Period. Like not even close. I had some issue with the idea, and I don't think I said this in the first commentary, that you have the whole ant thing that you're hinting at this entire time and and whatnot, and it gets its incredibly short play and kinda sorta gives a resolution as to why you need Hank Pym around still at all. Because in all honesty, other than setting the table, I've always felt that way with these movies, but at least, yeah, I get it. He's there. I feel like it's an add-on. I dislike the fact that if you're gonna say Scott is Ant-Man, great. I understand when someone gets lost in the quantum realm for 30 years, you're gonna have to include what all happens with them and everything. You barely include Hope. How many different people can you shoehorn in to say that this is a modern semi-functional family and still give them short shrift? It's a weird way to construct anything. And in this case, if you're going to do that format, I'm not saying you have to do exactly what happened with Scott where he's trapped for 5 years but it felt like 5 hours. I'm saying you had an out where someone stays there. Heck, Hope, who at the start of the movie is shown to be doing wonderful things in the world, now has a potential even temporary trap where she can do that in the quantum realm. And they just blow through it. I feel like if we're making a wrestling analogy, it's like you just had a fantastic storyline and you hotshot it.
They absolutely did. They set up this incredible thing, and then they created this entire feud, and then had like one blow off match on Raw like 3 weeks later, and like, all right, that's it. That's the end of the feud. Like, what? What happened? And then to boot, speaking of blowing through stuff, Cassie, again, to go back to her, all of a sudden now she's this tech genius. I read this one comment somewhere. They're like, are there any young girls in Marvel that aren't geniuses at this point that we're introducing? Like, because, you know, and I'm not trying to say like you can't show that women are interested in STEM and yada yada. Like, I'm not saying that, but you have to have some diversity of character. And there's nothing that was indicating that Cassie had any predisposition towards this. Also, she's calling Hank grandpa at this point. Like, did she just connect with them that much over the 5 years? Like, we're supposed to believe that just based on all of that stuff, that she had this incredible relationship now with the Van Dynes, that now, like, oh, it's Grandpa Hank. Like, what? It just seemed like they created these aspects to Cassie just so they could shoehorn more of her involvement into the plot in a non-organic fashion. And so then they could, again, justify hiring Catherine Newton, and B, say, well, clearly we're establishing stature now that she's got the suit and the powers and this and that because, we're going to set up Young Avengers. It's definitely happening. There could have been a way to do that more organically that would have been truer to who Cassie was, but didn't have to go that route where like she's like, oh, I created this thing that it's a beacon to the quantum realm and this is what sets us all off, and oh yeah, I have a suit, and oh yeah, I'm in and out of jail because I'm gonna cram in this social justice storyline because again, Disney princess syndrome, as your daughter so correctly and succinctly put it, that oh yeah, I'm gonna go and protest, and why aren't you doing more? And Hope is like, hello, what the hell do you think I'm doing?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But she's gonna go ahead and be the angry daughter there. So
Yeah. And okay, so I realize at this point we're just doing this as fans, but I'll actually even get back to some of the stuff we do with the podcast as a whole. When Cassie, as a daughter, is saying to her father, "Why aren't you doing more?" and he's basically, to make an analogy with Nipsey Hussle, Victory Lap. The reason that album is named that is because he put out so many things, including the marathon and everything else before that. Like that was literal like bootstrapping of everything that he had done up to that point. That the fact that he got this major label success and was set for life, rest in peace, whatever. That was a victory lap. Scott's doing that. So from a mental health perspective, it's like, this could be some serious crap. This could be some serious traumatic stuff. And the idea that I'm taking time now to at least just enjoy myself and reset all the things in my life while you are still developing as a teenager. Are you kidding me? Like, coming at me with that noise? Really? That was some of my thoughts about it. I know that has nothing to do with the Marvel stuff itself, but really, when it comes to development, and yes, teenagers will do that with parents anyway, no matter what the situation is. You don't get a choice to make it convenient. So I thought that was realistic. I thought that was accurate. Now, having said that, I'm not sure I agree with how a lot of that went down the way you just mentioned it with the Van Dynes, but just even take that part out of it. Like, how does she know him? How does she know Scott? Like, I know you're supposed to assume everything is working out, but it's like, really? How the heck would that happen?
yeah, there's a lot there. And then the other thing that really kind of annoyed me is the ending where it's set up. It's great. I don't have to win. We both just have to lose whatever. And it's like, all right, Scott is going to make the sacrifice and he's going to stay there so that everybody else can get out. Oh, nope. Just kidding. We're just going to turn the thing back on and pull him out.
That was, yeah. Like I said, I just missed the opportunity. Not to mention the whole no body, no dead. I mean, that's always a thing. And I appreciate though that they do even kind of expound on that too, and Scott's angst over everything. And yeah. So I think if I had to compare it, phase one, phase two, moving into phase three, it was always like, wow, I could see that people are willing to do these deep sacrifices, and sometimes they get lucky with them, but that luck's going to run out, and there's going to be some serious payback or just suffering and loss and whatnot. This is one where it reminded me of all the things that I've heard from people who are not comic book fans, but more movie fans, and their critique of the MCU as a whole, where they have this hunch and they say, that this is all going to work out anyway, right? And this movie fell right into that trap, I think.
Yeah. That, oh, we're going to create these massive stakes and we're going to create this drama, but it's ultimately going to be okay and nothing's really going to change. Which is kind of like Marvel comics in general. Oh yeah, we're gonna have this big event. Nothing will be the same. Everything is going to change in the Marvel universe. Yeah, for a couple of months, and then it's going to reset back to the familiar because status quo is God. The status quo makes money.
Yeah.
So all this to wrap up and say again, there was good stuff there. Too much story that you could have tweaked it and made it a little smaller, and I think it would have ultimately worked better because it would have given everything else room to breathe. And maybe some of these other things would have made a little more sense were they more organic.
Oh, and one last call out. Since we're past the spoiler point, I just wanted to know your thoughts on the cameo.
Oh, the cameo is very clearly interesting. I did enjoy the post-credit sequence, both of them.
Mm.
I am very here for the Council of Kangs.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as the scene ended, and Doc can attest to this, I pulled up my sleeve, I tightened the tourniquet, and I started just slapping that vein, and was just like, just right here. Here we go. Let me just pump the fist a little bit there. Here you go. Nice blue vein right there. Just stick it right in and just give me more of that.
Meaning,
Because
yeah. I mean, all this to say, like, despite all the critiques and everything else, it was like, wow, and they just made it awesome. Okay, cool. I'm here for it. I'm here for all of it.
Yep, absolutely. And like, okay, they're going full on Kang, Council of Kangs, and all the variants thereof.
Yeah.
All right, bring it.
Oh, and for those that listen to our podcast episode on Kang, y'all need to put some respect on our names because did we really nail in terms of just overall theme? We nailed it.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we had obviously not seen the movie before we did our version of the Kang skit, but yeah, we want our flowers, and we would like just a small check from Marvel, maybe just a little bit of money, just a little bit of money, just a little bit of money. You got enough. Listen, they're not paying the creators. They're not paying the people who write the comics and draw the comics that they're turning around and using as storyboards and inspiration for all this stuff. They get, a special thanks to, all the creators. But, oh yeah, here's $5,000. Yeah, we basically cribbed your character designs and your story ideas, but you don't get a percentage of the profits. You don't get any say in this. But we wouldn't have a movie without you. We wouldn't have a movie without you. We wouldn't have a character without you. We wouldn't have a design without you. But we'll just give you a pittance, and we're going to make millions and billions off of your ideas and IP. Damn the man. Eat the rich. So, all of this to say, like I said, we enjoyed the movie. We do say, go ahead and check it out. If you haven't seen it in theaters, then wait till it comes out on Disney Plus. But this actually ended up going longer than the original did, but only by virtue of the fact that we're not sitting in the car at night in the cold.
Yep.
Although it is just about the same hour of night by the time we get done recording this. So, well, anyway, thank you for listening. We'll do this again, at some point in the future, and hopefully that next time the recorder will work, and we'll just do it live. And Doc, anything you want to add before we head out?
Nope, just another great movie watching experience, and can't wait to see what's next.
Hell yeah. So for Doc Issues, I'm Anthony Sitko. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.